Welcome to Improvement and Services Committee meeting for March 1st, 2023. I will take a roll call. Alder Steuer, I am here. Alder Weary?
Here.
Alder Eck?
Here.
Alder Campbell?
Present.
All present and accounted for. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Weary, seconded by Eck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck,
Second.
second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. Are we good here? Keep moving? All right, regular business. Consideration with possible action on a request by Alder Grant on behalf of Stephen and Cheryl Lensinger, 2828 Sussex Road, to install a yard drain at city cost on city parcel 22-1949-A. See, Alder Grant is here. Come on forward.
Hello.
Hello.
So I am here, I'm representing my constituents and property owners. I was contacted in December due to some water issues that he was experiencing. Him and his wife have moved into the house in 2017, and this year is the first year that they are getting this water in the back. And the reason that I'm bringing it to you guys is a little bit, in the packet is a map. So the property owners have their house right behind there is about 20 feet of city property where sewer drainage is. And then right behind that is the Kosmoskis, who are also here as well, to hear from them. So we invited all parties out there, along with Steve Grenier with the city, to just kind of figure out where this water is coming from. And again, with the Kosmoskis owning property right behind it, at first we were thinking behind their property is a big hill, and then it's farm field. So is it runoff from the farm field now going into their yard? But what's interesting about this issue is the farm field is dry. It is coming up with the Lensinger's property and the neighbor next to them. It is literally coming up and shooting to the street. I brought this to the city's attention too, because with it being winter, it is actually freezing. It's going to the street because of the drain there. And because of the cold, it is freezing into the road. It has been like 20 feet out into the road. So I was worried about a car accident, someone slipping and falling. So we've been working as the city for a few months on this. Again, and Kosmoskis have been great. They have done water samples to try to figure out where this is coming from. The conclusion on that, and they can speak more to it if they wish, is that it's not coming from a broken drain under the ground, because that was the initial thought. So looking into the history of this house, this property was built on top of a stream. So the stream is filled in, house is built. It seems as though nature is trying to find its path with the water still. But now there's a house there, and we blocked it. The reason I believe the city is responsible for this is the water is developing where it is city property. And I went out after work one day when we all met out there and was wearing my work shoes and walked to the backyard, and right away they're like, wait, stop, stop. And I stepped in the water. The water was warm. It was December. So the water, if it's warm, has to be coming from a warm source like the earth. Then it freezes as it gets closer to the road because you lost that source of warmth. So it kind of cancels out the thought that it's coming from the farm fields, because why wouldn't it freeze there? And so yeah, it is a big problem. The residents are trying to sell their home. Nobody's going to want to buy a house when there is literally water going from their backyard between the two properties out into the road, icing over their driveway, making it unsafe for them to go get their mail, stuff like that. But I do believe the city has possibly a responsibility in this to ensure that we are providing or taking care of the nuisance that the property owners are dealing with. So they are here to speak.
All right, before I do that, go ahead, Alder.
Oh yes, I have questions.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, it was a question more for staff.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
I just thought maybe you could give your input on it before we do hear from the property
Right.
owners, just to see what.
Is there a way to put this on a screen by any chance? You know, like,
What
are you
looking? The airflow or the map? Is there a way to put that on the screen?
And we did submit some videos too of the water. It is literally running, like streaming out to the road. And it's not just saturated. It is coming up at a pace that it is flowing out to the road. And that Mr. Grenier does have that as well, so.
Right, I mean, I was looking at the air photo Alder Grant and just trying to understand exactly where it's coming from too. So, you know, If we had it up there, for me, it would be easier for you to point it out. I mean, we could,
Maps.
Maps, yeah, it's a map.
it's just me. What is it?
We need a pointer now.
Well, we can,
Need your pointer.
a little red, a little red.
I do got a question. So,
Go ahead.
on the parcel 2840 opposite of yours, corner right, so is it flowing down that street there too? I mean, is it coming to
On
that?
Sussex Road?
No.
Yeah.
You're right there.
No.
That's Sussex Road.
Could you pull it
yeah,
down a
you
little
can-
bit?
Oh, yeah.
Where the 701
Pull
is.
it. Pull it down, Steve.
I can reach up
Where
there.
the 701
This little square
Define
here
exactly what you're
is
asking me to
in
do.
green.
Would it be the intersection? Are we looking at the intersection or just the house?
We're
No,
looking
so
at
where
this
the
house.
water is
Okay.
coming
Move it
Never
from.
mind.
I'm gonna point out where it's emerging from the ground. There's a little garden shed put in the Green Bay city property, not my deal, but it's coming out on this side, right next to it. And if you go to some of the photos, you will see it's the most uphill part of it. And it flows down around, collects in a big couple
got all
of
the
pools,
floor.
Oh, you're right.
and it goes down.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
hold on,
Oh.
time out, our fault. Would like to make a motion.
Make a motion to open the floor for
All right,
So
we're
we
already
had them
sec-
do that before,
Well,
before Steve.
yes.
Or do you have questions? Sorry.
Well, you were
And
asking
where the
all
city
the-
property is where that tan, this tan line
Alder.
is city property, right here. This is Kosmowski's. The water's coming up between these two properties, flowing between their house out to the road. So it's going that much force to flow out to the road to the drain that's in, across their driveway.
Yeah,
And the
it's right there.
path
Yeah.
behind, it looks like a path, that's the city-owned property where it's coming.
Correct, yep, and that's where the drain is, or the sewer drain is, and
Okay.
So between,
Committee, anybody else?
between
Otherwise-
McQuan and Schmidt? Or between Schmidt and Lenzinger?
between Schmidt and
Between Schmidt and
Lansing.
Lansing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. In other words,
But none of
specific.
it comes down that road there, Sussex?
No,
It's
it
not
goes out.
stemming from the road, it passes
Go
the
down,
I know,
road to
but
get to the
it
drain.
doesn't drain
Folks,
there.
we gotta wait to open the floor.
Um,
I know, it's
Sorry.
whatever, it's just the way it is.
So it's stemming from the backyard ultimately, but it's the Green Bay property that it's coming from, sorry, I don't mean to put my hand in your face, cutting through the two properties and going to the road where the drain is, because it's trying to find a path.
All right, let's make a motion to open the floor.
Okay, I kind of wanted to
Wanna-
hear from
What'd you hear from?
We're gonna open
Director
it up to
Grenier, just
staff
if,
first.
is,
All right.
does
Go ahead.
the city have like a thought on it, I guess?
Since
Where
you
are
were
you,
out
where do
there.
you stand on this? That's,
Okay,
You were out there?
this, yes, I have been. This is the 2020 aerial photo, and you can see a remnant drainage path right here. That gets intercepted by this larger ditch, which comes down, discharges into an open-ended 24-inch storm sewer, which flows north along Spyglass. As you can see the house, pay attention to the property lines. What I'm about to show you is the 2000 aerial photo of the same property. In 2000, there was well-defined bed and bank of a stream course. This portion of that course is the remnant that's visible in the 2020, right here. So, what we have is a situation where there at one time historically was a well-defined bed and bank drainage course. That subsequent development has blocked off that drainage course. Now, this has been filled in, I don't know by whom, I don't know when. But any drainage, whether that was on the surface or if that drainage is now underground, the old path of drainage has been removed and is no longer available. That water is now finding its way to the surface and finding the shortest or easiest path, which happens to be this direction. Historically, City of Green Bay has viewed that as a backyard drainage issue. Just because the water's popping up on a piece of property that's owned by the city doesn't necessarily make it the city's problem. The problem exists because the prior drainage path no longer exists. So the city's position has been that it's a private property issue and it's the private property's responsibility.
So when the CSM was done, this was before your time as far as being director.
Correct.
When that plat came out, was there an idea when that plat was put together?
Early 2000s.
What was that?
early 2000s.
Right, and
2000.
then your home, the home, we'll open the floor shortly. The homes that were built were, you know, the years on that, when they were built?
No, offhand, I
I'll
don't
ask-
know.
I'll ask the citizens then. All right,
Motion to open the floor?
yeah,
Second.
do we have a second by Campbell? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Floor is now open. So if you want to come forward, just state your name and address for the record, and then we will ask questions and listen and all that good stuff.
Steve Lensinger, 2828 Sussex Road.
And I'm Cheryl Lensinger, 2828 Sussex Road. Our house was built, well, we bought our house in February of 2017. And it was a brand-new build, so I assumed it was built in 2016.
Okay.
We knew nothing about a river going through our property. It was never disclosed to us. We knew nothing about it.
I would have no idea when I buy a brand-new home, infrastructure wouldn't be improved enough. I would have no idea to look at a GIS map from 2001 before I bought my home. I would think and hope that the infrastructure is proper.
So the reason that we're here today has been brought to you. This problem actually started 117 days ago on November 4th of 2022. And we, at our best guess, think there's 10 gallons a minute. And that equals 600 gallons per hour, which is 14,400 gallons per day, which then equals, to date, from the last 117 days, 1,684,800 gallons of water has flown between my house and our neighbor's house. He is not impacted, we are impacted.
Our lawn is saturated.
A 15 by 30, 6-foot deep pool takes 13,500 gallons to fill. We have more than one pool of water traveling through our property every single day.
Just think about that. Emptying your pool.
Right, all
in the
right.
backyard.
And when the temperature freezes, it then finds a way to get to the road between our house and our neighbor's house, and it flows over the curb, and it proceeds to freeze. And it just pools out into the water. Kids want to roller skate, ice skate, do all these things on the road in ice when there's an ice skating rink 2 blocks away at the school.
Do
So
those
here's-
pictures show it? I mean, do the
Oh,
pictures-
sure, and if you don't have it, we can.
I have those
provide
two
it.
pictures, I just want to make sure.
We have
that-
thousands of pictures and hours of video.
Put it up there, too.
Is-
So you said it started on November 4th,
Yes,
but you bought the house in 2017,
Yes.
yes,
and you've only had problems now.
yes,
with this
with this
issue.
particular issue.
Huh.
We've had flash flooding in the past, but not from this particular spot.
This is not why we're here.
This happened after some rain event, and we noticed that it has never stopped flowing. After the rain had stopped, it had been dried. We're like, why is this happening?
How it becomes a private property issue is beyond me when it's not coming from my property, it's flowing over my property. To me, it's a public health and safety concern, and it's a public nuisance. And it meets all the definitions in the city code for public nuisance.
Is there a way to show these pictures, Steve? I just want to kind of have some questions.
The water.
There was two photos that were included in our packet.
Of the water?
Yes.
The snowy water.
I just wanted to have some questions, okay.
That's the square garden
So,
that we
In
were
city
referring to.
property.
In city property, that's our neighbor's garden that he,
so we're looking what direction?
You are
Looking
looking.
southeast.
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 Up toward the hill, toward GB,
not really.
Ish.
ish.
That's the origination point by that garden shed.
It could
And
be
you said
30
that garden,
below.
that's a garden shed?
Yeah,
It's on the-
supposedly.
It's on the city's property?
Yes, it is.
And
Well,
it-
because it looks like it's somebody's property, you know what I mean?
It's not.
Then we know,
The neighbors like to extend their
It's not.
properties.
Well, we've had that issue, that's another issue.
yeah, we're on,
That'll be addressed in due time.
Right.
Okay.
So
There
even
will
at,
be.
even at 30 degree below zero temperatures that we had just a short time ago, this does not freeze until it reaches the street.
Something else I'd like you to consider is we've made 17 calls of service to have ice removed from our apron in the street. And on, now I'm gonna jump up to February.
February 3rd.
Yeah, February 3rd.
It's a Friday.
We made a request at 6 in the morning. I came out, crossed over the ice, crashed through it, bottomed my car out, got to work at 6, made a request right away on the city website.
The tracking number.
We have the tracking number, but, so she got home at 1:15, she drives a pickup truck. She crashed through the ice but was able to get up in the
I
driveway.
thought I damaged the back, but I didn't.
So I got home at 2:30, saw ice halfway across the street. No way I'm gonna try it, I could see where she crashed through, I'd get stuck and I need to get towed out of the street. So she called the DPW, they hung up on her.
Unbeknownst to me, he's on the phone with the DPW in the street while he's in his car. I did not know, we neither knew that either was making the phone call. The DPW proceeded to hang up on me. And then
I had to
I
call
went
the
out to
police.
him, he called the police.
The police actually got the DPW to come out. And on 2/27, we called for service, and she got a hard no.
That was just 2 days ago. The guy said, I'm gonna tell you pretty much a hard no, that this is not gonna, you're not gonna get any additional service. And I said, well, wait a minute. Your supervisor, Josh Brassfield, had given me this emergency phone number to call if we have an emergency so that we could get the service we need, because we can't get in and out of our driveway. You can't with this situation. So Josh was able to get someone out there within 15 minutes. So, but on the 3rd of February, I want to back up. They had 3 different vehicles there. One of them was a salt truck, and he said, well, I'm putting $800 worth of salt down today. I don't know if they do salt like that every time, but let's just say each service call 17 times $300. That comes out to be $5,100 already, just for the service to come out.
For 17 calls.
With front-end loaders, with big, huge equipment.
Load
And then
graders,
And then
they
on the 3rd, we also have a photo of the service truck that had to come out for the salt truck because it broke down. So how much is that service call to come out to get the salt truck running?
Sounds penny wise, pound foolish,
That's just ridiculous.
really.
Does that show everything? There was one other picture too.
That doesn't show nearly anything, it just shows the origination point.
So you record while the event is stopped.
What are we
Who's
hearing?
talking? Oh,
That's weird.
Probably somebody on Zoom that I can't.
Oh, okay.
is there somebody
Like
on
also we
Zoom?
hear someone
Do
talking.
we have Zoom
What's going
people?
No, everybody on Zoom is,
Okay, call the record.
who that is.
So this is at the rear of our property. You can see there's a flag with a stake with an orange flag, because we
Okay,
had to
hold on.
have the property
At this
marked.
point, I have no idea.
Sorry.
No, probably,
We're just checking to make sure if there's anything else open.
all right, just hold on a second.
I think it's a
Everybody good?
playback from yesterday's hallway recording.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Feedback. Let's-
Okay.
let's not-
Shots
Funny.
fired.
Yeah.
Okay, I do.
Not funny.
That's called shots fired,
I
right?
had to work it in
Oh, my
somewhere.
goodness.
All right,
Chris.
let's get
Okay,
back. Okay, go ahead.
So
Yeah, that's,
we
okay.
requested for a survey to be done so that it could be clearly defined that the origination point is not coming from private property. It is on city-owned property. It is clearly defined. There's a flag in the middle of the photo, sort of towards the top with an orange tape on it.
It's a survey flag.
And that's at the very corner of our lot. And if you go to the right, that's our neighbor's lot, we're to the left. And the origination point is behind that flag, and there's another flag behind there, which it's hard to see in this photo. The origination point is clearly defined coming from the city of Green Bay's property. It is not private property. If that's private property, then we should be able to do whatever we want on that property, but it's not our property, it's city property.
If this was happening on my property and I was affecting somebody else's property, I'd be required to fix it.
And in fact, when we all met on December 7th, when we all met, we had our full property meeting, we were standing at a point, and you had even asked Mr. Grenier, you said, well then, where are we standing right now? And you said the city of Green Bay's property, and you were so mad, you asked Jennifer, you said, we need to go take a walk. And you took the walk with him to do the walk to put your boots to the ground, even though you had your shoes on were wet, you couldn't actually get in the water. That water right there is halfway up Steve's calf. It's blooming algae,
And it's flowing.
it's flowing, it does not stop. It doesn't matter what time of day, it doesn't matter what the temperature is outside, it does not stop. It is at least 10 gallons per minute. That's what we just tried to
It's
guess.
underestimated.
I'm quite sure it is underestimated.
Well-
That is over 5 million, let me tell you, per year. This would equate 5,256 gallons per year flowing through our property.
I'm trying to find,
If it's
I'm
warm,
looking
it
at-
sounds like a spring.
It's
Well,
a
that's what
spring.
we think it is, a spring
Yeah.
sprung. Director Grenier.
Go ahead, Walter Grant.
Can you play the video clips that I sent you? That might help.
Well, I can only do one thing at a time, so I need to know what people want to see.
Walter Grant, go ahead, if you need something.
It was
Your
emailed.
request.
He just,
They're
There we
just
go.
a couple second videos.
we're saying it might help your questions.
Can, Walter, Director Grant, is that okay?
See the run.
That's the second one.
What was the date on
I'm
those?
trying to find.
Last week, I think. But it was early last week.
Let's see what
This is like
Are they all
on
like 2
on your
seconds?
side of the property?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
all
on
they
our
could
property.
send.
What?
That's all they could send.
Oh, okay, I suppose.
Is it pretty even from the one yard to the other yard? I mean, naturally it isn't.
Not anymore.
Little long.
It's been carved out.
It's
Being
stuck in
lost
someone's
away.
stream.
Sure.
Well,
Can't find it. Trying to find the
How close
digital
is-
parcel map.
How close is that
Oh.
to your dwelling,
We're within 10 feet at one spot.
yeah.
by your garage there?
Yeah, by the garage. Like, my backyard is completely drenched. It's
So where,
unusable.
it looks like you have some shrubbery in the back corner there. Does that doesn't quite show in the picture, must be awfully close. I mean, like right up to it, I would think.
I have a small berm put in just to keep the flash flooding away.
If
Which
we
would
did,
just push it to their property, right?
no.
If you filled it, or if they could fill it,
That was done 2 years ago.
yeah.
Which was.
Walter Grant, do you have a
was-
second? Could you come up here? I'm sorry.
So the city of Green Bay, Matt, had asked us why we didn't put a berm in yet when we went there 2 years ago after a flash flooding event. And he drew on this map and said, well, I know why it's flooding. He drew on this, it's a larger copy of the GIS map. And he took his pen and goes, well, I know why it's flooding, because a river used to go right through your road. Here's his pen mark right here.
Through your road or your yard?
Through our house, through our house,
Through our
through our
yard.
yard, it's Matt's, I'm not sure.
He put his card on here. Matt Hecken label or something like that.
This corner.
He's not here anymore.
Can I see,
but-
can I see that?
He laughed at us.
Yeah, he did.
I think that is a very unfair characterization. Matt would not have laughed at you.
We were right in the office of the DPW and he laughed in our face. So that's not unfair. I would not lie about it. Why would I say that?
His secretary.
You also are making disparaging comments about one of my staff members, former staff members, who's not here to defend himself.
Okay.
So I do consider that, knowing Matt professionally for over 15 years.
How is that disparaging?
We wouldn't have
Hold on,
known
let's
that
hold on a
Matt's not here.
second. Comment, let's all calm down for a second.
We wouldn't have known.
Okay, I know.
It's the pen mark?
Just, we'll get you.
It's all right.
Nope. What we're here for.
Do you
Okay.
have, I don't know if we ever.
I guess the question I
She's
have
on.
is, I'm looking at the digital map, so you have your property in the corner. The Schmitz are to the south of you. You got the Rolls to the north of you, correct? Mr. Lenzinger, you can come back.
Right.
I'm not yelling or anything, we just had to try to get a little control here, that's all.
Bigger map.
All right, so there is a City of Green Bay, looks like a thin easement of
Not an
sorts.
easement, it's a parcel.
It's a parcel, so, and Director Grenier explained that parcel as far as what it's for.
That parcel was dedicated to the public for the purposes of pedestrian walkway when the subdivision was first recorded.
Okay. All right.
When was the sewer work put in, and how does it run in that area? Does it run off the street, off the back of the street? Is it for the drain off the street, or is it for the drain that you knew existed there when it was put in?
As
So
I
I do see
told you
the
before,
map here, so I'm looking.
You said it was to the north.
Oliver, do you have something?
there is storm sewer underneath Sussex. There is an inlet right there to the northeast of Lenzinger's driveway. There is a 24-inch storm main underneath Spyglass that is open-ended at the ditch at the southeast terminal end of Spyglass.
So in that parcel, is it which way the sewer pipe runs then to hook up?
On
with
the
net?
parcel itself,
Or is it running the streets? hook up with the streets. On the parcel the city owns, in the back of all the
There is no
properties.
sewer under the parcel that the city owns.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure where you said
No,
it
if you
was.
look, if you look
I mean,
on
we're
the
talking
screen,
about property here, I'm looking at where are the sewers.
the water from the farm field is supposed to drain to the ditch,
Sure.
along the ditch, down to the open-end storm sewer underneath Spyglass, and then flow north on Spyglass.
I guess one of the questions I have is that, okay, you folks didn't have this trouble, you know, until just recently.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, you know, Director Grenier, you did mention that there was a drainage ditch or drainage way that is now compromised because it's been cut off because you have development there now. So, looking at your property, there's, you know, you've got the area between there, and the water is pooling in your backyard, correct?
No, it's pooling in city-owned property.
Yes.
Well, the city-owned property that I see is just that long, narrow
Yep,
easement.
and that's the picture that you see with the little cage.
It's just a
pooling
small
back there.
thing.
Above the ribbon, that's the corner of their lot.
Yes, and then it comes through our property and out to the road.
Alder Weary, you had a suggestion, maybe?
Well, do we have any
Oh,
other
yeah,
questions or
or-
comments? Otherwise, I'll...
And we can open the floor again, too. It's gonna go back and forth a little bit, and I know it sounds frustrating, but, you know, we're just trying to get
I
it
mean,
together.
I can certainly do it in open session if you want to.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak first, and then we'll do that? Okay.
Sure,
Do
I can
you want to
speak
say
if you'd like.
something? Okay.
I just want to finish my comment and say we are terrified to stay in our house. It's petrifying. We don't know what's going to happen with that much saturation.
Did you
Turning-
say your
turn-
house is for sale?
Oh,
We
we'd
can't
love to
market
sell
it. Our realtor said we can't even put it on the market until this river gets fixed.
And
We
we
also
cannot
can't
insure
insure
it.
it, because we don't live in a floodplain.
So I just have another clarifying question. So you know, how long have you lived there and this hasn't
6
existed
years
till
this month.
this fall?
6 years this month. It just started at November 4th of last year. This particular
That's
issue.
puzzling. I mean, we just got out of a very wet, how many years in the city of Green Bay? I think we all can agree with that. And spotty over the state, but I think it was, we had a lot of water. I have drainage problems myself.
This is,
Do you
It's
have
just
5,186,000 gallons coming through your
Well, I got-
property in a year?
I got
Not
ducks.
that many.
That's
I got
a lot.
ducks.
Not, yeah, just,
Yeah, so anyway, it just seems really odd. It seems like something broke loose underneath. If you've never had this problem
We
before,
have never had
there's
this particular
something
problem.
that's existing. This isn't just normal runoff water, it sounds like to me, and I think that's what we have to figure out. I mean, if it's it could be a combination thereof.
I think Ryan might be able to shed some light
Sure,
on that.
I can try. I'll point to the map if that's okay.
No, that's fine.
Can I do that?
What's
Your
your-
name and...
your name
oh,
and-
Sorry, Ryan
Through the chair.
Kosmowski. So we
And
have
your address?
2439 East Shore Drive. Okay.
Go ahead.
So Mosky Corporation, along with another, owns the land that's up here that runs, it's 167 acres, runs east to west along the bluff, and then down toward the Lessinger's property. Steve has been great to work with from our end, and I know there's a lot of back and forth of this, but the truth is, I know you didn't cause this either. So it's a matter of figuring out how and why this water is coming. This right here is the little cage spot that they're talking about where that water is starting to come in. That mark where the corner of their lot is, it kind of runs along. This is a swale, a natural swale in between these houses that was created by the developer, which would have been USA at that time, in order to get that water back out to the road. If there was water, that's going to run in between properties. Steve found something that we didn't know that was there, which I thought was awesome. So, right here-ish, Steve, you'd have to tell me exactly where this is, but there's a Metro sewer that's here. Roughly.
Metro is way.
Somewhere there.
No, Metro is on the south side of the
Bridge.
third house.
Is this side?
Yeah.
Other side of that house yet. It's off the screen right there.
Okay, okay. So we walked over to where Metro Sewer has a manhole cover. What's interesting is right at this spot, right here, where that terminates, there is a corrugated pipe in the ground that is probably, Steve, would you say 10 to 12 inch?
10 inch.
So there's a 10-inch corrugated pipe that somebody had laid that runs this entirety. And that corrugated pipe is to take care of water that would be from some ground source somewhere. A homeowner probably could not lay that pipe just because it's going to come on semis. In order to get that much pipe there, you're talking 300 plus feet of corrugated pipe that runs along here somewhere. I know Steve wasn't aware of what it was. We certainly aren't aware of what that is. But that constantly drains water. So I took a water sample from that pipe. I took a water sample at the road between the Lessingers. I took a water sample of the water that was flowing off of Spyglass. I brought it in to Alchema, I can't remember the name of the place. They tested that water and said that it is groundwater. There's no chlorine in it. There's nothing that would tell us that it's something broken under. That's what I was concerned with, that there's got to be a broken pipe. This doesn't just happen. But we've had 3 extremely large rain events in the last 5 years in this area. So their home has flooded because of those large events, not because of this, but because of those large events. If that much water is coming down, and as Steve is saying, it's trying to find its way here, it's very possible that it gets underground at some point, you know, underneath the ditch that was created to run this water off, and pops up somewhere else. And that is groundwater, or a spring, as you would say. And that's what the person who tested the water thought it was, and it's groundwater of some sort. So it's where it's starting, I can't really tell you. The only thing that I would say is that if we came up here and we were to dye this water, to actually put dye in the water, and see if that dye turns up on the other side of this, we would know where that water is coming from if that's the source of it. If that's not the source of it, then obviously we have other issues.
Good point.
Okay, appreciate that. Committee, any questions? Or should we, anybody else for the folks here?
Motion to close the floor?
Okay, motion by
Second.
Beck, second by Waring. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that passes. All right. Well, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned, you know, that, you know, some of this happened before, you know, maybe Public Works wasn't aware of some of it, maybe citizens weren't aware of it. It's a situation, we're just trying to figure out how to mitigate or solve it in some way. That's all. Alderek?
I have a question, and maybe, I don't know if it's for attorney, Coacher, is that how you say it? Okay. Or Director Grenier, but if, say, a developer comes in and builds on a known drainage area or spring, stream, whatever, what legal ramifications are there for that?
Steve, you want to talk about the rules that were in place at the time of development, or?
Well, we don't know what the rules that were in place at the time of development. What it definitely appears is the drainage ditch that runs sort of parallel to the back property line between the field and the open end of 24. It looks like that ditch was put in to intercept the water that previously ran through what's now the Lenzingers property. So it looks like there was a definitive attempt by a developer to provide a relief source for that water.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
So they were aware of the water, basically, and tried to,
It definitely appears
Rectify
that
the
way
situation.
based on the drainage improvements that were made. It looks like there was definitely an attempt to intercept that field water and redirect that to the new storm sewer underneath Spyglass.
and that's Green Bay Metro, where that
No.
drainage, well, you said Metro.
No, what
What is
Mr.
that?
Kozmowski was talking about, he was just using the location of the Green Bay Metropolitan Sewage District interceptor for a barrier, or a reference point, so that we knew where we were relative to the 3 properties out there.
Okay.
Alder Campbell?
When that was developed, I don't know when, if and when that was developed there, and when whoever decided and planned where to put those receptacles, maybe this problem didn't exist then. Why can't this, since looks like it's coming off of over city property. What are the responsibilities of the city? Just the fact that it's flowing up in the property, don't you care about that?
Well, that's probably
It-
another way.
It's not a function of whether I care,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, if someone had little kids and it wasn't even flowing over their property, wouldn't that be a safety concern, like, for the city? Just by having open water there? I mean, if you had to go and keep unclogging them sewers, I would assume that's a city problem. This is a city problem because it's on the city property. In fact, it shares their property. I'm just asking what the responsibility of the city of standing water on city property is.
What I can tell you is historically, this has been viewed as a backyard drainage issue. It's a private property issue, and that's the way the city has dealt with it. If you choose to change that policy, if you choose to go a different direction, that's the council's purview. That's not staff's purview.
Go ahead.
The costs for extra salt and, maybe the services, sounds like it's adding up.
Yeah,
on
it
the
does.
room. So I just wonder if, we kind of do a cost comparison, but I'm wondering, isn't this more of a claims issue?
It can't turn into a claim until there's actually been a cost incurred, and the property owners have not incurred a cost.
Okay.
They could, certainly, a person can file a claim with the city if there's damages, costs, that hasn't been done. This was maybe a path Alder Grant can explain, taking it first. In general, the city is not permitted to make improvements to private properties, so that's where the distinction or the message comes from about making the determination that it is the city's responsibility, and that's, I think, Alder, where you're making the connection to a claim. That's how claims are often reviewed about what the responsibility of the city is. So in this situation, an improvement can be made on a private property if it's viewed as the responsibility of the city.
Is it okay if I continue?
Yes, continue.
I don't know. So, I guess my struggle is the source is on the city's property. So I feel like, in my opinion, that the city has some liability because it starts on our property. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
It's kind of the way I'm leaning too.
I'm already there.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Steve, and nobody's looking to place blame, right? We're just trying to find solution, I think, as Mr. Kozmowski said. So, who was the developer who was originally built the houses along there? Do we know?
I don't know that predates
It was
my
used at that time.
Choose.
Okay. When they submitted their plans for the plats, would the city have caught, hey, there's a stream running through here, a stream bed?
Maybe not. It depends on what they would have submitted for plans. Now, in between the 2000 aerial that I showed you and when the house was ultimately built in 2017, the property had been regraded for quite some time. I believe the 2004 aerials show the ditch gone by that time already. And the drainage way running through the Lenzinger, what's now the Lenzingers' house, was gone by, I believe, 2004, and the ditch was in place. Somebody did a grading and prepped the site for a house back at least that far. I don't know who that is. Again, that predates my involvement here.
So the ditch is not on our property, it's just outside of it? It's on-
Well, again, the ditch,
The ditch is on Bosky.
the
Oh,
ditch
on
runs
that side.
through all the properties, okay?
I didn't know
Sometime
what it was.
between 2000
Mhm.
and 2004, this ditch disappears and the site is graded flat. And there's a ditch here going down to the storm sewer. Because in 2000, that storm sewer doesn't exist. 2004, the street was in, and that storm sewer exists.
So we're trying to deviate, to redirect the water.
Correct.
So the land behind there, is that just field, is that farm
Yeah,
field?
that's
Or
farm
is that
field.
just, okay, it's
Farm
farm
field.
field.
And that's zoned for residential, I believe?
Are there any, I mean, I don't necessarily need to open the floor, but other plans that you know of to develop that housing? or-
We have been discussing plans, there is nothing imminent.
We can open the floor.
That's all it is.
So this potential, this problem could pop up, I mean, we're going to be dealing with that. So, now that we know about it. Yeah, I kind of view it too, as it's, seems to be popping up on our walkway, flowing over somebody's property and going into the street, so it's kind of causing a double issue, right? Starts on our end and ends up in our city street where it's icing over, and even in summer, it would be a water issue, so it's an issue. When we had the problem with Colburn Park and we had the flooding affecting the houses, remember, we referred it to staff to bring back some short and long-term solutions? It's something that, you know, and I know you always say it's the will of the council, right? But could we ask you to bring back some solutions?
We already have.
Oh, you have, okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
We had recommended that the property owner install the yard drain and connect that yard drain over to the 24-inch storm sewer in Spyglass. That we believe would reconcile, or would remedy the issue.
So, I see, that's where.
Yeah.
Director Grenier, do you know roughly how much that would cost? It was about 10,000?
We did not prepare the estimate. An estimate that had been given to us by Mao and Associates was about $11,000.
Okay.
That was an accident.
So that, I guess, is why I put it on the agenda. That's kind of what I'm asking us to cover.
Yeah.
And again, if the ditch was filled actually in 2004, it took until now to become a problem. It wasn't when the house was built. I mean, that was cut off in 2004.
So if we were to put in a yard drain, would we want to put it on our property if we paid for it?
I would think so.
We would look for the lowest point, that's where the water is gathering, and put it in at the lowest point to intercept it at the ultimate low.
Do we think that would handle the volume?
Well, today is the first time I've heard 10 gallons a minute. When we asked before, we were reported, the number reported to us was 5, but we do believe that a yard drain would also be a plan with it.
I know we're, so far, since we've been here, since last year almost, all we've ever talked about in development is about how city water runoff is, and it just seems like this one is being ignored a little bit. I'm not saying totally, but I think it needs just as much attention as far as green space, drain off, Webster wildflowers and all that stuff, you know what I mean? It seems like this doesn't seem to make a difference here, and I think the return on investment here, if it's only that much money to get this problem solved for the city end.
Was there a cost that was brought forward? I just wanted to double check that.
10 or 11,000.
10 or 11, is that what you said?
That was the
this
estimate provided to us.
And how much was all the salt? I mean, this seems like a pretty easy solution here. We need to try to resolve it.
Okay.
We know, Steve, if, and we could open the floor again, are the homeowners okay with putting it on their property if we paid for it?
The
No.
last I heard, we were instructed to put it on city property.
Okay.
No, because that would then have to be put
We have
inside our
to
berm,
open the floor again.
and that won't.
Motion, make a motion open the floor.
Make a motion to open the floor.
Beck,
I'm sorry.
seconded by
Never done this
Campbell. All
before,
in favor,
so I
say
don't
aye.
know.
Now we got rules, regs, all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
If it's only a couple birds.
So,
And not that I want to cut off discussion, but I do want to remind
Oh,
you.
yeah.
we have a
At 6
public hearing
o'clock.
At 6
We
o'clock.
have a public.
Okay.
All right.
And then something after that.
we had put a berm in that does go around the perimeter of the back of our property and the south side of our property, and it is on the edge of our property. If we were to put in a drain to catch the city water,
have
that
to compromise
berm,
it.
was several $1,000s to put in. You do not have permission to
So-
put that on our property. It's not coming from our property.
What would you do, what's the alternative for you then?
It would need to be going on Green Bay's property where the source is coming out.
Out to the Spyglass Lake.
But not on your property?
They've never had permission.
Yes.
When did you put the berm up?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, because I remember you saying, was it Matt suggested a berm?
Yep. You've got the map there. I don't know his last name.
Okay,
and
I just didn't see it
apologize.
on the,
I
well, it's hard to
didn't-
see because of the snow that you have a berm there.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
not know that Matt was not there, and I did not
It's
need
a
to be.
shallow berm, it's just there for the flash flooding that was occurring.
How high is it, the berm?
Oh,
Knee high?
Couple feet.
at the highest point, yeah.
Okay.
All the word?
Oh, good.
That's it.
Close
Oh,
call.
yeah.
I'll
All
just
right.
throw one quick point about the agenda item, is that parcel number is their property. So if whatever decision vote you take, just note that parcel number is their property. So if it's city property, or it's lowest point,
Something
or
we can-
pursuant, whatever, just the modification of the if it's not on their property, that the item needs to be, the motion needs to be modified. It's not,
Makes sense.
because that's their parcel number.
Okay.
You got that? Yeah.
Yes.
I would
Thank you.
entertain a motion to, oh, sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Campbell to close, second by
Finish.
Wery.
What do we, oh, to close?
We have to close the floor, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would make a motion that we,
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Elder Campbell?
I don't know quite what the motion would be or where it would go. We could discuss that, on the, how to resolve this and move forward with it instead of arguing about
Yeah.
the situation where it's coming from. I think it works good for the people. I think it works good for the city to resolve this.
Well, we'd
as
have
soon
to
as we can.
amend the motion according to the parcel here.
What do we say?
Just you can word your motion in accordance, but the issue is that the agenda item was put on as a yard drain for their property. So if
Okay.
that's gonna be a hard no, it would be city property, so that's the motion. I'm just saying you have to, that's gonna have to be part of the specific motion.
And you just say city property or city walkway?
City property, but then also Director Grenier said the most appropriate place is the lowest spot. So I don't know if there's a subsequent action that needs to take place or not. That's a technical.
Well,
Well,
could
the
you
berm
just-
wouldn't be the lowest spot.
Lowest spot would be the
Could you
street.
just have a motion
Because
that
that's where it's
says
going.
for the
Okay.
city
There's
to
there.
install
Okay,
storm
over.
sewer on city property at the appropriate location is determined by staff?
And the homeowners?
Yard drain.
Well, it's gonna be on city property. so-
Okay.
It's gotta be.
Is that your motion?
That way
Gotta
you
say
can
on the
figure out
city
where
property.
that spot is.
Did you want city?
Yeah.
Restate your motion again?
For
To
the,
install.
motion is for the city to install a storm sewer on city property and determine the best location.
I think we want to call it a drain.
Drain.
Says
yeah.
yard drain on
Yard
here.
drain, that's fine.
That's fine. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your motion? Do we have a second?
Campbell, are you seconding?
Second.
Second by Campbell.
Yes,
Any other
council.
discussion?
What? Did it go to council then?
Yes.
It
This
always
is-
does.
It goes to city council
Well,
next
we're
Tuesday at
sending it
6
back
for final
design.
vote.
Okay, that's what I didn't know where.
Aye.
We all, okay, all in
Oh, aye.
favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, that passes 4-0.
Yeah, I know.
Is it?
Oh,
Or we gotta
be
get
on
going here.
Tuesdays.
Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
Number 2?
Mark,
Yes.
reminding that I've given.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Okay.
The timeline, it's next Tuesday.
Yeah, I look them up.
You already
Lacey.
told them. We'll discuss it further, but I think we're trying, so. All right, number 2, consideration,
Yep, the map.
oh,
I can't take it.
Is it that one?
I know you like maps, so I'm gonna have to take this one from you.
Look at that, of course, Mark.
Yeah, games.
Order maps.
all right, let's continue. Number 2, consideration with possible action on a request by Downtown Green Bay Inc. to enter into an agreement for installation of ash butlers within the right-of-way, street right-of-way, and attachment to city-owned poles. Director, we also have Alder Johnson here too, so I don't know, where do you want to go? We'll start with you, Director.
Well, I don't know that Alder Johnson even, this was on the agenda, to be honest with you.
I think he's
Yeah,
here for
second.
second.
He's here for something else.
Yes,
You're here, yeah.
yes, he's
Like a
here.
good idea, though.
Well, Don Conklin.
Sure.
We've included in your packet a draft hold harmless agreement or revocable occupancy permit for objects within the public right of way. For those of you unfamiliar with an ash butler is simply a receptacle for somebody to put out smoking materials.
Sure.
Cigars, cigarettes, what have you.
Not ash trees.
We believe that the installation of ash butlers in the downtown area helps with the cleanliness, keeping those types of things from being on the ground. DGBI has offered to install and maintain the ash butlers. All they're seeking is approval from us to mount them to city-owned light poles. Staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wery.
Second.
Second
Get
by
those
Eck.
ash
All in-
butlers in.
Any other discussion? All in
Come out
favor,
of the
say
bars.
aye.
Come out
Aye.
of businesses, throw them in
Alder
the streets,
Campbell?
where are they gonna go, right?
Yeah,
Campbell?
I'm gonna have
Aye.
another 5 months.
Earth to
We're
Campbell.
voting. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye, aye,
Okay, that passes unanimously. Number 3, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to approve amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement for Country Club Road reconstruction design services with Ayers and Associates in the amount of $26,228.
Okay, Ayers Associates is our design consultant who is handling the design of Country Club Road. There are changes in the scope of services that they are providing to us. Specifically, they are doing a Section 106 documentation for historical, State Historical Society or Tribal Historical Preservation. They're modifying some curb ramps in the design on the far south side of the West Mason Street intersection. Coordination of underground detention basin recommended for the project for stormwater management. Coordination with the Oneida Nation that was in excess of what was anticipated at the beginning of the project. TDS with their citywide fiber project. We now have an additional utility that was not anticipated at the time of design, so additional utility coordination for that. Additional costs above and beyond what the existing contract are $26,228, and staff does recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. All right, we're doing good for time here. Number 4, consideration with possible action on the request by Department of Public Works to award the following contracts at a staff level and report the award at the next Improvement and Services Committee meeting. Take them all.
Yes, please.
All right. So A is Bridge 1-23, bridge maintenance and concrete repairs. B is resurfacing 1-23, including sewer and water. C is resurfacing 2-23, including sewer and water. And D is resurfacing 3-23, including sewer and water. Director?
Okay, these projects are anticipated to bid in April during the time period where our schedule is going to be off due to the primary election. So in order to keep the projects on task and moving forward, we're simply requesting authorization to be able to award at a staff level to the low responsive responsible bidder for each of the 4 projects and report that award out at the next regularly scheduled municipal meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck,
Second.
second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. Okay,
Oh, there's finally something from your area.
what's that?
Yours.
Oh, yeah, hey, wow, it's not
It's a
cold, it's
typo.
not Colbert.
It's a
I had to
typo.
point it out because it's not
Number
cold.
5,
Let's go.
consideration with possible action on a review and award of the following contracts. A is Parks 2-23 Perkins Park Ball Field renovations. B, Parks 3-23 Fisk Park Tennis Court resurfacing. C, Sidewalks 2023. We take the same kind of thing, or go ahead, Director?
Well, these were projects that were recently bid. I apologize, they did not appear in your package, so that is the handout that I gave you at the beginning of the meeting. 3-23, we had a sole bidder that was ProTrack and Tennis Incorporated. However, they were responsive and responsible. Parks Department is recommending award of that Perkins Park contract, or Fisk Park Tennis Court resurfacing to ProTrack and Tennis Incorporated for the base bid amount of $108,157. We've also included a memo from Parks Department relative to the Parks 2-23 Perkins Park Ball Field renovation. 4 bids were received. There was a base bid and a base bid plus alternative. I wish I could tell you what the alternative is, but I don't. That was a Parks decision. But Parks is recommending award of the base bid and the alternate to Peters Concrete Company in the amount of $320,952.29. And then the last one is our annual sidewalk contract. We received 1 bid from Al Dix Concrete. Al Dix has had the contract in the past. They are a responsible bidder. Contract amount was $1,126,525, and staff recommends award to that. So all 3 of the responsible bidders.
The sidewalk amount about in line with last year? Dollar amount?
It's a little bit higher, but we expected that. There was about a 27% increase in concrete costs that's been reported. And there's more sidewalk in this contract than was in last year's contract. So the pricing that we received was definitely in line with what our expectation was.
Staff?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by
Got those
Weary,
ball fields
seconded
down.
by, I'm gonna keep moving quick.
Let Campbell have
By
it.
Campbell, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Number 6, report the award of contract parks 1-23 East River Trail and Canoe Kayak Launch. Staff.
Okay, also included in your packet is a bid summary for the Parks 1-23 East River Trail Canoe and Kayak Launch. This was discussed last year, and at that time, again, because of the anticipated bidding schedule being contrary with our meeting schedule due to elections, council had previously given us that authorization to award at a staff level. 5 bids were received. Millbot Construction Services was the low responsive bidder at $591,439.90. So staff did make that award with the concurrence of the Parks Department. So we're
Have
simply
we worked with
reporting
them?
that out.
Have we worked with them in the past?
Yes, we have.
Okay, all right.
Good to see 5 bids.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Eck.
Second.
Second by.
So that would actually be a received place.
Oh, received.
Oh,
Well,
it does say report,
Yeah.
sorry.
never
Motion to receive and place on file.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, by Eck, seconded by Weary. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, that passes unanimously. All right, are we gonna have time for going through the? City
It's, we got 4 minutes.
Yeah, well,
Well,
okay.
a lot of that's going to depend on how much discussion you want to have on it.
Well, on this
Take
next
number 8.
item.
Motion to take number 8 next, that's right, out of words. That's right. Clean that up, because I think the next one will take a little longer.
Yeah,
Well, and I will tell you, unfortunately, as soon as the public hearing is done, I am going to have to leave. Both Assistant City Engineer Wysack and I have to be at a public hearing for the Brown County Plan Commission
Oh,
at
that's
6:30.
right.
So
so what do you suggest? I mean, I would just assume, does
Is the
anybody have a
road
lot of
issue time
questions?
sensitive, does that have to go to council next week?
the CIP?
Yeah,
No, it was put on at your request.
okay.
So if the two of you want to hold it for the next meeting, I'm
Yeah, that's
perfectly
fine.
fine with
That's
that.
gonna take a while.
It'll give you more time to review
That
as
would
well.
be fine.
All right,
I'll make a motion to hold number 7.
okay, so we're next, do
Second.
That deserves more time.
Second?
you wanna do you have a time frame on that, or?
Just till our next meeting.
Okay, all right, by Weary, seconded by Eck, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. Okay, so,
Can we take these all at once? Is that?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can, because
Number
we're
8.
simply reporting out that we've already awarded these licenses.
Okay, let me,
Okay.
number 8,
Receive
report of
and place on file.
actions taken by the Department of Public Works, granting of licenses for sidewalk builders and tree brush trimmers and underground sprinkler system. Staff.
Again, these are contractors that have held licenses with us in the past, so staff has already awarded the licenses, and we're simply reporting out that we've done so.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Okay, by Heck.
Second.
Seconded by Weary, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that passes unanimously. Director's report on recent activities.
Yeah, and there's really only one thing that I want to bring up tonight. Obviously, we've been pretty busy here over the last week or so. It's been an active weather pattern we've been caught up in, so our staff has been responding. We are continuing to respond throughout the course of this week. So as that accumulated snowpack is starting to melt and turn into slush, we're going out daily and blading that off. We don't want to go out and scrape everything down to bare pavement at once, because with the snow that we received and then moving all that stuff out, number one, we get a lot of complaints from residents about these big snow boulders and this wet, heavy snow we're laying on their driveway apron.
Yes.
Secondly, with the plow event we had on Monday, that wet, heavy snow is blocking the inlets. There's almost 15,000 stormwater inlets across the city. If we have tractors out trying to get the inlets open, I don't want to place a whole bunch more additional precipitation over those inlets. We are expecting warm weather. The 7 to 10 day forecast is showing in the 30s every day, as much as we can believe that forecast. So what we're doing is we're blading off the loose stuff on the top, and then the following day, as traffic and heat causes that to slush and become loose again, we're going right back out and blading it off again. And we're hoping that over the next several days, things will break up and we'll have the rest of that stuff off of the pavement already. Unless we have streets that have heavy tree canopy And I know, people laugh at me, but it is a phenomenon. If you go take a look, when the sun is out, take a look at where the shadows are. Even trees that have no leaves are blocking the sun. That's where you're seeing the snow on the road yet. So we do continue to work at it. One of the one item that I did have for you that we need to report out, typically I would bring this through as a request to expend money, but one of our graders had a transmission failure. I made the sole determination, so this is on me. I made a determination that was an emergency issue, so I issued emergency authorization to make that repair. That repair was in the amount of $45,094.33. So we're reporting out that expenditure because it does exceed $25,000, and I felt it was necessary to have that work done. As luck would have it, I got the grader back on the 24th of February, and it's been in use almost constantly since. So I think you would concur that would be an emergency repair. So that's all I really have for director's
Seems like a
report.
wise decision.
Okay.
Just motion to receive and place on file.
By Beck,
Second.
second by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Yeah.
All right, we have a public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jesse had-
public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Alder
You can't see
Burnett.
that.
Yeah,
I didn't see
sorry,
you.
I was over here. Steve, thank you for that update, and obviously I'm not on the committee, so it's a little awkward, but when I was on the INS committee, you would often send us an email or just give us a heads up when those actions are taken.
Yes.
Is that something, like, were you able to inform the committee?
I did not.
Okay.
I definitely can try to do a better job. It's been a little hectic lately.
Oh, no, I understand, and you guys are doing a great job, but I'm saying the council's a little sensitive right now, but.
No, I understand, and that's why, that is exactly why we are reporting these things out.
And you did, with some of the snow events, you have let us know too
Yep.
what was going on, so we appreciate that. Just communicate, that's it.
Absolutely.
All right, the 6
hearing.
o'clock.
Public hearing.
Okay, public hearing. Engineers report for the public hearing on March 1st, 2023. In accordance with State Statute 66.0703, this public hearing is being held to levy assessments for the proposed pavement improvements which are included in the 2023 capital improvement program. All the projects being considered tonight will be included in contracts administered by the City of Green Bay Department of Public Works Engineering Division. All of the proposed assessments are being levied in accordance with the city's assessment ordinance. During construction, contractor is required to provide access to businesses at all times and residences as much as practical. When a residential driveway is inaccessible, the property owners or tenants can receive permission from the city police department to park on adjoining streets. Problems during construction should be brought to the attention of the Department of Public Works Engineering Division by calling 448-3100. Asphalt pavement. South Maple Avenue from 9th Street to the north termini is classified as a local road in a light industrial zoned area with a few residential properties. The existing asphalt is an urban road section in poor condition and is in need of reconstruction. South Maple Avenue will be reconstructed with asphalt pavement with curb and gutter over gravel base and a typical clear width of 36 feet. The 2023 assessment rate for asphalt pavement reconstruction is $56.90 per front foot for commercially zoned or used properties. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $510,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water main rehabilitation and construction will be performed prior to the pavement reconstruction. Estimated cost for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main is $32,000, $240,000, and $110,000 respectively. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements. Asphalt resurfacing. Asphalt resurfacing on the streets being considered tonight will consist of milling the existing pavement, eliminating depressions with a 1 1/2 inch asphalt leveling course, and placing a 1 1/2 inch or more asphalt surface over the entire paved area. The objectives of resurfacing are to provide a smoother roadway surface, eliminate maintenance problems, and to extend the life of the street. Asphalt resurfacing can only be completed on an existing improved street where the base is still in good condition. Once base failure has occurred, the entire street usually has to be reconstructed. Prior to resurfacing any street, utilities will be reconstructed and/or rehabilitated as needed. In addition, preparation work consisting of the milling of the existing pavement, spot base repair, and curb and gutter repair will be completed. The following factors are considered when determining whether or not the curb and gutter should be mud jacked or replaced. 1, the condition of the curb and gutter. 2, the amount of water retained in the curb and gutter. And 3, the amount of funds available for curb repair work. All preparation work for asphalt resurfacing is provided at no cost to the property owner. The 2023 assessment rate for asphalt resurfacing is $18 per front foot for commercially zoned use properties. The estimated cost to resurface all of the streets included in this year's resurfacing program is $3,303,000. Personnel from the Department of Public Works Engineering have field inspected the streets included in this hearing and have determined that resurfacing is warranted at this time. The streets being considered tonight for asphalt resurfacing are as follows. Brozig Street from Manitowoc Road to Pecan Street. Victoria Street from Amy Street to East Mason Street. Hireman Street from Cass Street to East Mason Street. Hireman Street from East Mason Street to Kimball Street. Nicolay Avenue from West Mason Street to St. Paul Street, and George Street from Cass Street to East Mason Street. No assessments will be levied for the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main improvements.
Is there anybody here?
So on Salt,
There-
okay.
How do we do that? Come on up. Open the
Motion
floor.
up.
Yeah, open the floor.
Open the floor, okay,
Oh,
motion.
second.
Okay, motion by Weary, seconded by Beck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now you can
Just
come up. you
come
have
on
to
up, state your name and
please.
address for the record, and
On the South Maple, 8th Street area.
what's your name and address?
James Knockway, 1141 South Maple Avenue.
Okay, go ahead.
On the 8th and Maple area, the storm drain doesn't keep up. There's some pretty good flooding there. The park actually goes underwater. And I mean like a foot and a half of water. Is any of this gonna be addressed with this pavement resurfacing?
Yep, so we are looking at upgrading the storm sewer in that area as well. We are not going to be expanding to the park. We're going to be staying on Maple Street here as part of this, but we are looking at upgrading that storm sewer as well.
Okay. It comes right through the manhole covers, the water goes.
Yep, we're aware it's fairly shallow. We're looking at
And I think most of the problem for that would be on East Street. I don't think it's Maple that's the problem.
And you're south of 8th? Are you
Yes.
south of 8th?
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else? Name and address for the record.
I'm Joe Rabbit. You want this property address or mine?
Your address.
3094 Open Gate Trail.
Okay.
I just wondered how we, I know there's all kinds of stuff about how long streets get used and all that. I've been to enough meetings, but why does Maple Street get picked when there's so many other worse streets?
Combination of the pavement condition, years since it's been resurfaced or reconstructed, the condition of the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main, all gets factored in. So we have a candidate list of streets across the city. We try to maximize the amount of return on investment when we're doing these streets.
And as we don't understand, the return on investment on Maple is hardly used. That particular chunk where Open Gate's been a nightmare for 20 years, from Green Ridge to Double F. That road's absolutely undrivable for 20 years, and it just, nobody ever looks at it. I mean,
Every
Maple,
every segment of street in the city of Green Bay is looked at every 2 years. and
I've been to enough meetings to know the speech, but the reality is Maple isn't that bad. When I got done, when they just did Shirley Street, I was informed that right after that, then it was gonna be no assessments for street repairs anymore, and suddenly there is again.
That's not what has been said. What has been said is with the advent or the adoption of the local vehicle registration fee, residentially zoned and used properties for single and two-family residential do not have the assessments paid by the property owner. And all other zoning categories have had the former assessment rate reduced by half. That is how things have been since 2019, when the local vehicle registration fee was adopted.
When they took down the trees on Maple Street that caused the sidewalks to buckle a couple inches, those sidewalks don't get fixed.
Sidewalks are exclusive of a road improvement project.
But that doesn't get done. And the alley between Maple and Chestnut that's been tore up and patched and patched and patched is terrible. But that doesn't get, I say, why don't we fix the existing problems that have been there forever, instead of finding a little hunk of street so we can say, well, we got this whole street done, but it's not a really necessary street to do. I just got clobbered on Shirley Street, and I'm gonna get tagged $7,000 for a street that I don't use. I don't use Maple Street. The only time I park there is when I'm there to move the snow off the sidewalk that nobody walks on anyway. If I can beat whoever goes up and down it with a tractor of some sort and packs it down. I don't understand why Maple's getting picked on for this. Unless it's just because it needs sanitary or something, but that isn't my fault.
Again, we have a process where we take a look at a list of candidate streets.
I understand you have a process, but we should have a different process that makes sense. I know it'd be confusing.
I've got streets in my district that I'd like to see done too.
You know the hunk of Opaget I'm talking about, it's terrible, though, your Griswold's in there. It's terrible, it's undrivable. And Maple, I said to Bradley, what the hell's wrong with it? I never noticed it was bad.
Well, to this gentleman here, it's important. So, like I said, there are a lot of roads that are, we put in requests as well. The alders put in requests to Public Works, and we look for that, and they do rate the roads. They have Pazer reports every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple in my district that waited for some time. They're fixed now. We're just hoping that things keep moving along.
Well, I'd like to see one of those roads in your district get done and leave the one in this district alone because it doesn't need doing.
Well, this is, they're reporting this out to us right now. This is just a report. We can't go out and say, well, what about this, what about that? I mean, we'd be here forever. We're looking at the roads that are being resurfaced and the pavement, asphalt pavement. We're just looking at these roads right now. Next year, we're hoping maybe, or next year, or whenever we have this again, we'll talk about that as well, the next time.
I'm just looking at the map right now. This is from 9th to the terminus, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. 9th to the north end, yes.
There was a map that we had last week, wasn't there, a couple weeks ago, showing Maple as kind of dead.
Correct, when we picked up the right-of-way that was necessary there.
Yeah. So that's right there, and you have the railroad coming through, correct?
Correct.
So that'll be taken care of in that sense. You said there's going to be.
This got nothing to do with the railroad.
We're working with the railroad as well, there's some right-of-way issues that we're working through the railroad.
The railroad was near there.
Near, but it has nothing to do with that road.
A couple
It
residential
stops it
houses.
from going.
A couple residential houses and businesses, looks
Correct.
like.
My building's just a warehouse, I'm not using it for commercial.
Well, so you're against this right now?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Fix Open Gate, I use that road. It's
He has
terrible.
commercial property on it.
Right.
Heavy warehouse. It's not for manufacturing, it's not a business, it's just a building.
So the fact of the matter is, you're not. So you're saying that you will have? Are you saying that he'll have half?
He'll have half of
$7,000 worth.
Well, I don't know what committee. Do you have any any answers on that? I don't know.
Options at a hearing? What are the committee's
Your
options?
options are to either approve the street for reconstruction and order any assessments levied, or to deny.
Deny the report?
No, because what we're asking for is to order the improvements completed and any special assessments levied. And we would ask for all of the streets. If you want to pick streets that you do not want to do that, if you want to deny the improvements, that is your pleasure. You have that option.
Steve,
Don't see, it's got somebody that
do you want to make a comment about the condition?
Please.
If you want to.
We had just received some complaints, within 2 winters ago about how bad the street condition was. I personally saw that there was deflections of pavement out there, about 6 to 8 inches. So as far as the condition that you had alluded to, I know that there was some.
I have two buildings on that street, I don't think it's in that bad a condition.
And I know it's wildly unpopular, but it has been past practice. It's been the policy of the department for well over 30 years. That if a street comes to the public hearing and is denied at the public hearing, then not only does it go to the end of the list, but because the street was recommended by staff for reconstruction and it was denied, then we also perform no maintenance on that street. So potholes develop, we just let it fall apart.
I think we're at a point.
Did you want to speak too, sir? If you do, you'd have to come up and state.
The street needs to be redone.
Well, just come on up and state your name and address for the record.
My home address,
Yeah, fine.
Rodney Miller, 2934 Airport Road, O'Connell.
Okay, and you have property on Maple?
I have 2 buildings there, yeah.
Okay.
They have me paying almost $16,000 after they just substantially raised my property taxes this year to boot. I don't think the street's in that bad a condition, but it needs to be completely redone.
Okay. Also, we have 2 that are saying no, and the gentleman that says that it needs help, so.
Have we heard from any other property owners?
Have you heard from any other property owners on Maple?
Like I mentioned, we had received a complaint, 2 winters ago, and actually, I believe actually there had been some posted signs added to that because of the severe deterioration of the street at that time. The only other one that we've been working with is a property owner to acquire some land over there, Theo, who we've been working with as well on this.
Steve Thrill.
How time sensitive is this? If this doesn't happen tonight, due to our next meeting, I mean, I know these spring contracts or?
We would like to get things bid out so we can start getting contracts on the streets, but
Because I mean, I appreciate there are people here tonight, but there are other people on that road and they might really be in favor of this and we don't know, and so.
Do a motion to close the floor?
Yeah.
Motion to close the floor? Unless you.
Okay, is there anything else you want to state? Okay, motion, do we have a motion to close the floor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay,
We'll close
I make a
up.
motion, seconded by Weary, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll discuss it. All right, thank you.
I think that
Go ahead.
for us, we rely on the expertise of our city staff. You know, we haven't gone out and done the inspection on the street. So, you know, I struggle with overturning what the staff has recommended for these because I know it takes a while to get those streets put on. And if you're looking at it, and you said it was 2 years ago that you received complaints, it's taken 2 years to get on. So that's, you know, my thoughts.
And the state, the fact is, you said that it goes to the bottom of the line, and it may never get fixed, ever. I mean, who knows?
It's a long time, never. But
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna defer to someone who's in the audience today who may or may not be the alderman of the area. Alder Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of bringing this up. I mean, maybe a couple of questions that I would have for staff. Obviously, we have had some chronic flooding in this area for many years, particularly that leads into that Seymour Park area. We've been working on, for a number of years now, stormwater management over in Seymour Park, as well as the greenway there. How much does this project, if at all, impact what's being done there?
not much on Seymour. We're south of Mason Street here.
Right, right.
So-
I just didn't know, I mean, this is just a pavement, right? This is not,
Well, we're also, while we're doing the pavement, we're going to improve and upgrade the sanitary storm and water main as well while we're there, so that we don't have to go back and dig up a new pavement.
does it directly relate though to the efforts in Seymour
No,
Park?
it-
They're totally
They're
isolated, different
fairly-
drainage basins?
I would say they're hydrologically disconnected.
Yeah, and that's the answer I was looking for, okay. I mean, this is really just, I'm kind of looking, this is 9th to the terminus,
Ninth to the north terminal.
so what is that, a block?
Several blocks,
Two short
north
blocks.
and ninth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a map here if you need to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, it's mostly commercial, there's a couple residential in there, right? I assume you're with one of the residential properties, or you're commercial as well. So, I mean, I don't know, it'd be nice to get some perspective, obviously, the residential in the area. I haven't inspected that site, but it's, I haven't gotten any complaints on it either. It's tricky situations, right? Nobody wants to pay a commercial assessment, I get it. Nobody wanted to pay the residential assessments when we did them either, and that's why the roads never got done. Now, to your point, Steve, that was past practice. I don't necessarily think that has to dictate what future practice is. You know, and so if this committee said, hey, we don't wanna, we're gonna hold on this particular project because it is mostly commercial, but we also wanna make sure we maintain it, you know, I think we can reevaluate that future practice after having passed that wheel tax, so. Look, I mean,
I kind of agree.
Alder Burnett had the same issue over in his district, you may recall, where it got put to the bottom of the list, and I don't recall anybody saying that they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, because.
A good idea? They didn't say it was a good
It's
idea?
similar.
Okay.
Well,
Would time help, and I don't mean to put this back on you, but what if we denied it and you get calls from a dozen people or businesses saying, hey, this was going through and got killed?
Yeah, look, I'll go knock the doors and talk to the folks in that area, but I don't know what that does from a timing perspective, you know what, if.
Well,
That's the
then
problem.
It would be more of a defer,
We would hold it.
because we're
Right.
not.
And that's what I'm getting, if we've got time
Can
to
we hold
hold it, I'll go knock those doors in the next week. I'll talk to everybody.
I would like
I
to,
would like that.
and if everybody feels the same way, well, then that's pretty easy. I mean, that was kind of what we got with,
Yeah.
Alder Burnett, but
Yeah, when's your next, I mean, when's,
Well,
Director
next-
Grenier, if this is the public hearing, if this group were to, is there actually, there's not really an action item on a public hearing, is it?
Yes,
It's
there
just taking,
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to agree to
The
disagree.
action item would be to order the improvements constructed and levy any special assessments.
okay, so if we hold this item until the next INS
We
meeting?
would not be able to hold it until the next INS item, or INS meeting because of the statutory requirements on notification of public hearing. We'd have to start the public hearing process over.
how many days?
Why would you have to start it over if you still had the public hearing today?
Because the public hearing hasn't been concluded. Unless we conclude the public hearing and.
That's my point, we can conclude the public hearing, we still heard from those that showed up, and we'll go knock a few doors, and I can come back and give you a report out on what the neighbors and property owners in that area said, and
If you can consider the public hearing concluded and put it on
Put
as
it-
just
put it
a regular agenda item for consideration with possible action.
Okay.
We could do that.
yes.
On just that one,
All right.
that one street?
Yes,
Just Maple.
just on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. I'll talk to, obviously, the three individuals that are here today after the meeting's over. We've got 3 of those doors taken care of, I'll go hit the rest, and,
So,
Good. does that help?
yes, it does, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Alder
Thank
Wery,
you.
you wanna?
Sure. I'll make a motion to,
Hold?
So hold action on South Maple.
Well, don't we have to close the hearing first?
do we need to
So
close the hearing?
You don't have to-
we should agree
just
to the ones that were done.
As the
correct?
chair, ask again if there's, ask 2 more times if there's anybody who
Is
else.
there anybody else here to speak to these streets? Anybody else to speak to these streets? Anybody else to speak to these streets?
Then you can say the public hearing
The
is
public
closed.
hearing is now finished. All right,
Now-
so now we can vote on,
Correct. So now we'd entertain a motion to
let's vote on-
hold action on the South Maple asphalt reconstruction project and for the streets listed under asphalt resurfacing, order the improvements constructed and levy any special assessments necessary.
Took it right out of my mouth.
So moved.
So that'll be the motion by Weary and seconded by Peck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, this all goes to city council next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, although that one item will be held. Okay, our next meeting will be when? Let me look.
15th.
Do you have to close that?
March 15th.
And motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
No, okay, by Ed, seconded by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Now,
Meeting,
can we?
and then-
Yeah, we have another break. Parks will be in the next meeting, next room over.
Okay.